you kind of invented podcasting, and now you've reinvented podcasting with streaming Satoshis, taking into the second layer of Bitcoin using the Lightning Network. People are tell us about it.
So podcasting 2.0, you're right. 18 years ago, Dave Weiner and I created podcasting. If you can call that an invention, everything builds upon something else. And I've been doing podcasts, everyone's been doing podcasts for all this time. And then all of a sudden I kind of noticed that Apple had become kind of a central authority. And if they remove something from their index, which by the way, I was very happy they maintained that for all those years, then it would fall away from all these other podcast apps that didn't have the infrastructure to really maintain 2 or 3 million podcasts. So the first thing was to build an independent index called podcastindex.org, which any podcast can be in there. In fact, we have over 3.8 million. Apple only has 2.2 million. So all the podcasts in the world are probably in the index. No matter what the status is, free speech, we don't care. The second thing is app developers were never really in the deal flow. They don't get any advertising money. Maybe they can sell some banner ads. So there was no incentive to create to enhance podcasting, to create new experiences. So when I bumped into the Lightning Network, which was really kind of by accident, of just like, holy, what is this thing doing here? Now and I learned about Keiser, which you can stream invoiceless payments, micropayments. I went to Dave Jones, who I've known for 10 years, said, can we make this thing work? And he said, yeah, probably. And then we bumped into a couple other people, including Paul Itoy at Sphinx Chat and Breeze. And now we have, I think, 15 new apps, which you can find at newpodcastapps.com, that will let you stream Satoshis, small bits in real time, and you determine the amount, which is kind of the first time that we've had a price discovery mechanism for creative content. It's always been Silicon Valley tells you that song is worth 99 cents, that app is worth 99 cents. You can't really influence that as the person who receives the value, which is the listener. What is it worth to me? $1 an hour? Okay, so then 3,000 sats an hour. Maybe you do 50 sats a minute or 100 sats a minute. And if you really love something, you hit the boost button, you can send 1,000 sats. And we now are doing over 150,000 transactions monthly from people streaming Satoshis to podcasts.
Well, what is the actual name of this entity?
Podcastindex.org is the company and is the website that is building this and managing it and has a community of open source developers around it.
Okay, podcastindex.org is the...
And collectively, we call it Podcasting 2.0. And if you see this badge and you're certified, then you know it's the best podcast. In fact, Orange Pill is another great example. You can stream Satoshis and whatever app you're using also gets a little piece of that. I mean, it's really a whole ecosystem where if everyone works together and everyone does it, everyone gets paid and it's uninterruptible money supply and it's an uninterruptible media distribution because we've removed it from Silicon Valley.
I see a connection here with what's happening on Wall Street Bets. Because Wall Street Bets and the Reddit traders moved into the online trading apps like Robinhood, and they swarmed in.
Yeah.
And through economies of scale, they attacked the hedge funds and they attacked the establishment. And it was kind of a continuation of Occupy Wall Street. So what you're saying is that with Satoshis and streaming Satoshis and micro payments, and these payments are as little as a fraction of a penny, right? A Satoshi is a fraction of a fraction of a penny. But en masse, the economies of scale, global, people can zoom in or swarm in. But I always think of the metaphor of murmurations, the starlings in the sky, they go through those murmurations, yes, where they're floating in these patterns, you're not really sure which way they're going. But en masse, they create something, and that can apply to the relationship between the content creator and the content consumer. You're getting rid of so many people in the middle, right?
Well, that's the beauty of it, because even at the basic level, you as an individual can make an RSS feed, which is just a text file, basically. You can put it on a server, and you're good to go. You don't need anyone else. You can get your own node, plug it into your, a Raspberry Blitz, plug it into your network at home, and you can receive the payment. So you don't need anyone. Now, is it still handy to have tool makers like Buzzsprout or RSS.com or these guys who are hosting companies? Of course, because they'll make it easier for you. You don't have to maintain your server. But in essence, you don't need it. And yes, I think it is very analogous to what's happening with GameStop, where we initially started this as a defensive move against deplatforming. Now we're offensive. We have 18 features that no other podcast, no, Apple doesn't have it, Spotify doesn't have it. And what is really interesting is Apple has started to make their own moves, and they changed the way their app works, which screwed anyone who was using their index as an independent app developer. They could no longer use it. And also episodes are not updating timely anymore. They're updating 2 hours later or a day later. People can't get into their system. So I think they've focused on, let's do subscriptions and we'll hijack this stuff over here. And they've given up on it. So now we're driving the innovation. And I think the independent ecosystem has really been a lot more of podcasting than the big boys are realizing now.
The guy in front of the camera, you're really more of an entrepreneur. And so where do you see this going in another 5 years in terms of the actual content? Because if the content becomes this dynamic and price discovery becomes this dynamic, the content itself is, I think, going to fundamentally change from being like, let's put the same song on every 30 minutes. Like
or worse, on TikTok, every 10 seconds, the next video comes up, which is really how the music industry is breaking songs now, is TikTok.
Right.
I mean, that's total mind control. That's some crazy ass drugs.
It seems to me the music these days is produced by artificial intelligence to put the hooks into your subconscious mind.
It's well formulated.
Overdubbing. Yes. And beat synchronization, the click tracks.
Absolutely.
Like there's almost no conscious contact with the music. It's all hitting my unconscious mind in this kind of war of attention.
So being here at this conference, which it was great to see you, and I've been to better conferences, honestly. It's a little warm and long waits and okay. But to meet people that we've been working with for years, of course, to meet them in person, and we've moved our goalposts so far now that we're going to do this for documentaries. So we'll call it Documentaries 2.0. This is again an industry that is really hurting under the Silicon Valley takeover of the studios. Because if you can even get on a streaming platform, at the end of the day, there's only pennies that drip out. So we're launching that. It'll actually be a WebLN interface, which will open up in your Breeze wallet or any other Lightning wallet. Then we're doing it for music. And I think this is the core. We took it one step further, this payments. When you listen to a podcast, or it'll also be for music, the creators can put a split of the money in what we call the value block. So that you as a listener will be sending maybe 100 sats a minute for whatever you're listening to, but 10% may go to the bass player, 10% to the lead singer, maybe to someone who helped invest, and it goes to their individual wallets directly from the consumer who's listening. So you've removed every single middleman there, and you've also put a big dent in this horrible infrastructure known as the performing rights organizations, the PROs, ASCAP, BMI, the Sync Rights, the Harry Fox Agency, all publishing in general, which take your creative work and 48 months later maybe give you a penny, and everyone else is basically, in my opinion, stolen your money.